Hi everyone, welcome to Amy's Rock and Pop Shop Crafting Studio. I am going to teach you something very special today. Okay, you guys, so about a year ago, I signed up to take a virtual workshop with my friend Martina, who owns My Creative Outlet. Now, My Creative Outlet offers workshops as well as crafting supplies, and she also hosts other artisans in her shop. So it is a wonderful place to look for handmade gifts, take workshops, and buy supplies. And I'm going to include the link to her shop here in the description of the video. So I signed up for this workshop because I was looking to learn some new skills, but mainly because I thought, you know, here we are, I'm stuck at home and I need to do something to bring myself a little joy. So I signed up for this workshop. Little did I know that it was going to turn into all of this. So I want to share with you all today what Martina taught me. And then I would like for you to take what you learned and put your own creative spin on it, just as I have done. So Martina taught me this craft using the traditional materials like spun cotton heads and felt, but then I took it a step further and I started using vintage doll heads and glitter materials and vintage fabrics. And so I put my own spin on things. And I'm hoping that you guys will be inspired to put your own spin on things as well. I also would like to invite you, if you would like, to sign up for my newsletter, because guess what? I am going to start offering my own virtual workshops so that we can all craft along together, making cone dolls and other vintage style crafts and all kinds of fun stuff. So at the end of this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you don't like it. All engagement is good engagement here on YouTube. Then look for my social media links, give me a follow on Instagram, subscribe to my channel right here on YouTube. And then if you would like to be added to my newsletter so you can find out when my next live sales are, when my next crafting videos are dropping, and when I'm gonna offer these workshops so we can craft along virtually. And guess what, guys? I'm going to put together some kits so that you guys can make your own Amy's Rock and Pop Shop doll at home. That's right. I'm gonna curate the heads, I'm gonna choose the fabrics and the trims, and then you will get to put it all together and add your own creative spin as well. So stay tuned for that. Lots of exciting things are happening right here in the Rock and Pop Shop Crafting Studio. So I greatly appreciate you guys joining me today. I cannot wait to see what you guys make. And I would love to see your creations. So post them on your social media with the hashtag rock, the letter N, pop shop inspired. And that way I can go and follow that hashtag and see everything that my creations have inspired in you. So with that being said, let's get started. Okay, so there is a little bit of bad news here when it comes to making cone dolls. The manufacturer of the cardboard cones, called paper mache cones, went out of business last year. So these small cardboard cones have become obsolete. So there are a couple things you can do. You can make your own using some cardstock. Just cut out the cone shape. You can find tutorials on making cones. And then you're gonna, roll it, glue it, and make your own cone. For today, we're going to use a pre-made paper mache cone. Another alternative is a styrofoam cone. Now, I will warn you that when you are using the styrofoam with the hot glue, it can get a little tricky because the styrofoam tends to want to melt. But it is doable, you just have to be careful. Okay, as far as the heads, you can use the traditional spun cotton heads. It took me a little while to figure out what size. So these are 25 millimeter, and they are slightly bigger than the bead heads that I have been using. So if you want to go a little below 25 millimeter, you can, or if you want to go larger, you can. So I don't know exactly what the measurement is on this one, but you can order these spun cotton heads from one of my favorite resources, which is Mercantile, and I will include that link here in the description of my video later. The other option is you can buy the pre-printed heads. So if you would like to buy them already made with a face already on it, let's say you're not really that artistic, but you still want to have fun making the dolls, Mercantile makes these. Or you can find vintage ones that were painted, usually made in Japan, wooden or spun cotton. So this one is a spun cotton pre-printed head from Smile Mercantile. The other option is to paint your own. You can paint it on a spun cotton head or on a wooden bead. This is one that I chose to paint myself, and I did it in the vintage kind of kitsch style. And then you would add some hair on top. You can use doll hair, you can use mohair, you can use wired tinsel. The options are endless, whatever you feel inspires you. And here's another example of one of the faces that I painted myself. Okay, you've got your cone, you've got your head. Now you're going to need some felt. Today we're going to be using felt. I did source this felt from my creative outlet. She has lots of colors. All of her felt is 100% wool, and it is ethically sourced. And this is a beautiful salmon color. So this is the felt we're going to use today. Okay, next you'll need some hot glue. Now my hot glue gun, maybe yours looks similar to mine. It's kind of messy, but I have chosen to use the Gorilla Glue gun because Gorilla Glue I have found is much sturdier. Some of the cheap hot glue breaks off and is not very permanent, but the Gorilla Glue is pretty strong. And then the Gorilla Glue gun, at first when you switch from a standard glue gun to this one, the trigger is a little bit difficult to master. But once you get it mastered, you can really control the amount of glue that comes out much easier than with a standard gun. So I recommend this one, but you can use whichever one you want. And then I have the Gorilla Glue sticks because I feel like the glue is much stronger and more reliable. And it says metal, plastic, wood, glass, leather, fabric, floral, foam, jewelry. There you go. And it has dual temperature settings. So it tells you on the back what temperature to use for which type of material. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna do is take your felt, take your cone, and you're gonna take the corner of your felt and you're gonna wrap your cone inside it like this. And you're gonna wanna make sure you position it in such a way that the two ends meet together like that. Then you're gonna take your glue gun and you're gonna run a line of glue right here, and then you are going to quickly and carefully, because the glue is hot, take your fabric and pinch it together like this until the glue dries. Just keep pinching it until the glue dries. I like to also, if there's a seam in your cone, have it seam up so that you're running the glue along the seam. That way you don't have a bumpy line in the front of your doll. I'm very new to doing tutorials, so bear with me, guys. I hope that you're able to see what I am doing clearly enough. So you just want to keep pinching until the glue dries. So that way you are creating a bond between the two ends of the fabric and also bonding the fabric to the cone. And then you will end up with something that looks like this. Now, some people might be more mathematically inclined and you might like to cut out your fabric to the exact size that you need before you do the cone. But for me, I just prefer to trim it all off after the glue dries. So for today, I think I'm going to use a vintage doll head. I have all kinds of vintage doll heads that I have sourced, so I have lots to choose from, but for this project I think I'm going to use this made in Japan cute little flocked dolly head. So I went ahead and unwrapped her and she is all ready to go. Now I am going to trim the wire with another pair of scissors that I don't typically use just for fabric, so that I don't ruin my good fabric scissors. And I'm gonna trim it about this much. I do have wire clippers, which I do recommend, but I'm being lazy. So because I'm using the wire, I'm gonna go ahead and cut the tip of the cone a little bit so that I can stick the wire down inside the hole. That creates a sturdier bond. So put a little bit of glue around the top, so that way some of the glue will go down inside the cone and then some of it will adhere to the underside of the doll head. Just like that. Okay, so now we are ready to make the arms. I am going to use these pipe cleaners that I also got from Smile Mercantile. This was a lot that were on clearance. So typically they don't come in colors. I usually get the white ones, but I'm going to use this cute little green one today. And then you're going to want to kind of eyeball how much you want for the arms. I always cut a little bit more, so that way if I need to shorten it, it's easier to shorten it than to have to cut a whole nother piece. So go ahead and take your doll and like wrap it around the back to see if you like the length of the arms. So you want everything to seem like it's in proportion, which I feel like it is. So I think this is a good size. So again, it's going to be a rectangle and you're going to want to just measure it up to your doll, pull it around and see how it looks. Okay, you can put the rest of the felt aside because that's all we are going to use today. And then we are going to take a little bit of glue in the middle like that. And we're going to lay the pipe cleaner across it like this. Now, if you want to get extra fancy and you can find vintage doll hands, you can use those. It's a little bit trickier when you have the doll hands because you've got to make sure that your fabric is wide enough to wrap around the doll hands because they're much thicker than the pipe cleaner. For me, most of the time, I just like keeping it very retro traditional, and I just use the pipe cleaner. So you're going to want to fold them in to create little mitten hands, just like that. And then you're going to take your hot glue and run it all along the inside here. Okay, so I ran out of hot glue, so I had to stop the camera for a moment and reload. So we're going to run the hot glue all around one side, just like this. And then you're going to want to quickly fold it, meet the sides together. Be careful because the glue is hot. And then squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. The one thing I cannot stand about hot glue is the strings, but the Gorilla Glue does have less strings than some of the cheaper brands, so that is good. And then you're going to cut the corners off, just like so. So it creates a little sleeve. It's best to wait for the glue to dry a bit so that it's easier to cut. And then you got to make sure there's not any gaps once you've cut it. I don't have any gaps, so we're good to go. And now you have your arms. Okay, next we're gonna attach the arms to the back of the doll, just like this. So you're gonna wanna hold the arms behind her like so. You wanna make sure you leave some room so that she has a neck. And then you're going to go ahead and fold them till they meet. You want them to be even. Sometimes if she's holding an object, you might have the arm with the object a little bit longer than the other arm, and that's okay. So then you're going to take your glue and put it in the fold, just like this. I wouldn't put too much glue because it can seep out. And then place her where you eyeballed it should be. Be careful because the glue can seep out the back and burn you. So if children are making this, you're going to want to use your hot glue gun on a low setting. And it's even better to have a low temp glue gun if it's really young children. Obviously use your parental discretion if you allow your kids to use hot glue guns or not. Don't take my recommendation on that. You can also use craft glue if the children are small and you don't trust them with a hot glue gun. And then what you will want to do is while the doll's arms are drying, you're going to want to take a paper clip or a safety pin and clamp the doll while it is drying and leave it that way overnight. And you may need to do this part yourself with the hot glue. All right, so she's all set now to be decorated. Okay, now that we have chosen the trim, I picked out this pretty vintage gold rickrack for her trim. So I'm going to carefully remove the tape. And I personally like to go ahead and start at the seam just to keep it clean, and go ahead and wrap it so that I can measure out how much I need so we're not wasting it. I hold it with my thumb, transfer it to this thumb, and give it a snip. And then you have your trim for the bottom. Okay, with rickrack, it's tricky because if you put the glue on the doll, you are going to have some glue showing in between the little rickrack curves. You know, if you're picky about it, then you can do this and just carefully, you know, adhere the glue to the rickrack. You probably will get burned, so I don't really recommend doing that, especially if the rickrack is metallic. It gets hot, but I'm gonna do it that way for my demo. And I do it a little bit at a time, because if you try to put the glue on the entire piece, most likely it's going to start getting hard and drying before you can get the whole thing down, and you're probably gonna get burned. So I like to do it a little bit at a time and just very carefully, which is another reason why I like this Gorilla Glue gun, because I can control how much glue is coming out. And you're just going to go ahead and wrap that carefully around. I like to use my fingernail because if your hands touch the glue while it's wet, it's going to leave a white glue spot, and that drives me nuts. So don't be too hard on yourself with the glue details, because all of the vintage items, part of their charm is that they do have that glue residue. So it's really not a big deal. It's part of the vintage charm to see a little bit of glue. And then we'll get this last little edge, and we are all set, just like that. And there she is. She's got the bottom all taken care of. Okay, so next we need to do the sleeves. So we want to give her a little trim on the cuffs. So go ahead and measure. When I say measure, I mean with your eyeballs and your hands, because I myself can't stand having to be rigid with measurements. Some people love working that way, and that's fine. I'm gonna be very careful. And this does get hot because of the metallic element here. Be careful not to place it except on the spot you want it placed. Otherwise, you're gonna leave that glue residue. Sometimes you can pick it off, especially on felt, because the fibers come off easily. So there's one. Okay, I went ahead and did the second one off camera to save time, and now we need to put one around for a collar. So you're going to do just how you have done it on every other area. Wrap it around and then eyeball it, give it a snip, and then go ahead and glue it on. Okay, so in this case there is a little bit of overhang and glue residue, so I'm just going to give it a quick trim. And the other side looks okay. The back side needs to be trimmed, so we'll give it a little snip, just like that. And now she's all set. So now you can decide how you want to decorate the front. Do you want to put a couple of little buttons? Do you want to put some little sequins all over, or just down here? Or do you want to do like that traditional look with the rickrack that comes down at a diagonal? So I'm going to go with that look today, but you can decorate your doll any way you like, any way you're inspired to do. And that's the fun part. This is the fun part, when you get to decorate her outfit. And she's all set. Now we need to do the wings. Okay, so I have a couple different types of wings. I have the traditional nylon wings, which you can buy, you know, go on Etsy, go on eBay, you can go into the craft store. A lot of times they will have them in the doll making supply section. You can make your own using nylon pantyhose and wire. And then I have these wings that I got from Smile Mercantile, which I love. I have them in gold, I have them in silver, and I will include the link in my description. For today, we're gonna go with these metallic gold foil wings. So you're gonna just give them a careful little snip right here because they're connected by a little tab. And then on this end, a little snip, snip. Move these things out of the way. And they're fragile, so be careful with them. One side is very much embossed. The other side is the back side. Either side is fine, depending on if you want the good side to show through or be on the back. For mine, I'm gonna have the good side showing, so you're gonna give it a little bend so that you can attach it to the back just like this, and then she'll look just like that. So go ahead and put a little bit of glue right here on the back side of the arms, and then take your wings. Be careful, because if you're using the metallic wings, they will get hot with the hot glue. Turn her around like this so that you can see how the wings look from the front, so you can position them before the glue dries, and then she's all set. Okay, next we need a halo. So I'm going to choose a little piece of pipe cleaner. My cat loves these pipe cleaners. He gets all up in them. I'm gonna see if I prefer the gold or if I wanna make it a little bit more interesting and go with a different color, maybe with the pink. Let's see how the pink looks. Sometimes I'm using the wool for doll hair and it gets caught on the pipe cleaners. So I kind of like the pink. So let me put this aside. And you're gonna just take your pipe cleaner and fold it, roll it, bend it, however you would like your halo to look. I'm gonna go with this kind of a shape. And then you're gonna trim off the excess. And then I think I'm going to, you can do this kind of style where it just shows like this in the back where it's straight up and down, or you can attach it and then kind of bend it over like this so that it has that look. Or you can simply just take it as a ring, a circle, and just kind of place it on her head like this. And for today, I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm gonna take the part where I connected it, because it's a little bit bulkier, and I'm gonna put that on the back side. And you can tilt it however you want. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of glue where I connected the pipe cleaners. And it's best to have it facing you so you can see how you wanna place it, right? And then let it dry. And she's all set. I hope you guys enjoyed crafting with me today. It was a lot of fun for me to share this craft with all of you, and I cannot wait to see what you guys create. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and reach out to me via email or social media if you would like to be added to my mailing list so that you can be kept in the loop on all of my live events, my sales, my crafting events, my talk show, which is coming up this coming Monday. It'll be every Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. It's called The Vintage Dish. We are going to invite some of my viewers to come on and share their vintage collections and talk about their hobbies and their passions. So I look forward to that. This little dolly, I'm going to offer her up on the Vintage Bunch this Sunday. Every Sunday, I join a great group of vintage sellers from YouTube and Instagram, and we all get together and offer the best in vintage and handmade. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, like my video, put a thumbs down if you don't like it. I would love that because all engagement is good engagement. So thank you guys so much for all your support. Until next time, write your own script, create joy in your life and in the lives of others. And I look forward to crafting with you all again next Friday.